everybody. After some technical difficulties, we have a little change of schedule in our hands. It is gonna be SlimOdds versus Powder Monkeys, and already underway swiftly 12 minutes in, and what a turn of events for us, Sandberg.
It is a turn of events. We're 12 minutes in. We're getting ganked in real life. We're getting ganked by our PCs. I don't even know team names here. I know one of these is Powder Monkeys because I know the Runeterra card. I don't know the one on the right. I know nothing. Deza, help me. What do me and the viewers need to get back up to speed in this absolute clown fest of an opening?
So from what I'm seeing on my Rift and on my screen currently, we have a Gore Drinker Nocturne 3-0 at the moment, extremely fed, and already a Herald fight underway, but it's gonna be Powder Monkeys not contesting this one. Herald goes over to SlimOdds. The Nocturne is so damn ahead that there's gonna be no contesting coming through. SNC already onto Banner X, and going a little bit looking at the champions on our screen and the comps ahead of us, as Banner X could be into a little bit of a trap, never mind, but a little bit of a more of a scaling coming through from Powder Monkeys. Already in Solo Champion, we have not seen in a very, very long time. A very good scaler into the later stage of that game alongside that Seraphine and the Wukong, with that Orin being the tanky boy up in the top lane as well. Although scaling on the side of Powder Monkeys, on the side of SlimOdds, a little bit more of a early game, mid game focused team with the Nocturne pick coming through, already seeing a lot of influence on him. 20 CS above Shiny and 3 kills means that he's gonna be the main tool for SlimOdds to push their lead ahead and push this game on forwards.
Trying to play through that Nocturne already has his lead and the lion's share of the gold just on the map in general, I will say. But on top of that, Gangplank is also well funded himself. Looking at that CS lead, he's about 110 to about 70, so somewhere in that 40 CS range of a lead of himself, eclipsing even his jungler's lead. Bot lane apparently has not interacted with just about anyone, but what I will say, more importantly than all of this, while we have a bit of a fight here, FaZe Rush is able to find the ground onto the Rakan. Second of the battle dances will get him to safety. Could not find the lockdown, but we have a Seraphine. After you did the call out on Seraphine being played by exactly one SLE member, apparently we doubling that number today, Des.
2 SLE members, that's double the number of one SLE member, and Seraphine being quite good in the meta at the moment as well. Does tend to get more played as an AD carry, or an AP carry in this case, I guess you would say, than a support. But it is a Poppy support, interestingly enough, coming through for the side of Powder Monkeys. I'm assuming it's a counter pick over towards that. Rakan can stop multiple of his dashes with the grand entrance with the shield as well, and you can see a little bit of a Powder Monkey lineup down towards this bot side. Everyone's trying to get a piece of the party, but there's some vision in the bush from the side of SlimOdds, which means Trouble Bubble is going to get spotted out. Does have that Star Sky's Descent in his utilization tool, and can use that to potentially set up a dive here onto the bot lane of SlimOdds.
The lockdown, TP away, no
never
recall
mind.
combination, and a Nocturne gank as the paranoia comes out, forcing him back underneath his T2. He loses his T1, and Shiny is late on the draw, meaning Aurelion Sol loses his sum and his structure on top of it.
Oh god, what am I watching? Trouble Bubble walks all the way
Looking at
to
a
the
solo
top
kill
lane.
as Phoenix is destroyed by the trial by fire. Gangplank's lead turns into even further bleeding up in the top lane.
I would have to go back quite a long time to see when the last time I saw a Gangplank solo kill an Ornn. But there is a lot of members down towards this bot side. No paranoia for Brady means that it would be a very, very difficult gank to pull off on the Nocturne, but we did see a little bit of an interesting roam, to say the least, coming out of Trouble Bubble. He walked over towards bot lane, realized there was no play, TP'd mid, got immediately Nocturne.
Bot is fighting the two-man pop-up as the Keeper's verdict finds the execute on the Stoosh. Doesn't get his flash off as double TP. They're looking to keep this going on the red team. Pharaoh flashes away, moving forwards with the fear. Aurelion Sol brings the hammer down as that... Skies descend on that one. Ginny is able to pick up his first kill of the game. And this game is just turned into a carcass Just all sorts of mayhem, left, right, and center.
The front row seats to the circus, baby. I love it. We saw Trouble will do a huge guys descent onto 3 people, but with that Rod of Ages instead of Baliandris in his inventory means that he doesn't quite have the damage yet to be getting anything out of plays like that. We do see him having 5 stacks at the moment, means that he's 5 stacks more to go, 50% on his way there to getting those 10 stacks. Should be over at the 23 minute mark for him. We do see a little bit of a lane swap coming through. Stooge overflows the top lane, and I'm assuming it's because Fenris did end up losing his top tier tier 1. Means that is gonna be Bannerex who's pushing, so more so wants to get the gold down towards that bot side. Gangplank being a champion that has a lot of wave clear in his kit means he should be able to just push his way on through. We do see General Decoy try to set up some very aggressive vision, considering there is no objective up for now on the top side. Herald should be up very, very soon. I do expect for the side of SlimOdds to heavily contest that, considering they are the team that are 6,000 gold ahead at the moment.
Yeah, they've already built themselves quite the mountain of gold, and the difference as they're looking to just continue escalating that. You said it yourself. This is a mid-game focused comp. They have tools to keep things going, but at the same time, they're also not too worried. Yes, Aurelion Soul on one side. Yes, Ornaments will come through, but at the same time, Jinx, Cassiopeia, Gangplank are all even more than... Okay. we can't even just walk into lane and without finding more mayhem. This Cassiopeia will exit, and I don't know. Seraphine's dead again. Doing Gangplank with no flash? Like, I don't know.
Bannerex, he's just slowly picking up like quests from bounty hunters. He's just slowly looking the heads of powder monkeys. First he collected Fenris's, now he collected Pharaohs. I'm just waiting to see who he's gonna try to solo kill next. Maybe Trouble Ball is his next target. Would be a good chunk of gold going to him. Is going for the bot tier 2 for the moment, and Herald is still up and available. 25 seconds until that Baron spawns, which means Herald is undoubtedly not going to get picked up by either team. And looking at the gold, it is a little bit rough for the top side of Powder Monkeys. It is going to be a 4,000 gold lead over to Bannerex and
Barrel 1 connects, Barrel 2 also landing. This Gangplank is able to send Pharaoh home, tail between legs, and set his team up with just a little bit more pressure across the map.
Bannerex is just tearing up the rift at the moment. Interestingly enough, you see an early mob coming out for Brady with the double AP threats on the side of Powder Monkeys. A good pickup and a good adaptation to see coming out of the Nocturne. The Gore Drinker is interesting. In general, I tend to see the Stride Breaker being more heavily favored on the Nocturne, especially against such long-range champions on the side of Powder Monkeys. Oh, hold on. I was really hoping he gets that.
Does find a little bit of chip on the Pharaoh, but not the most impactful Super Mega Death Rocket in the world. My eyes are drawn back to these junglers. This is not going the way the Wukong wants, considering he's supposed to be the one to set the pace. You said it earlier. Early skirmishers, your Vi's, your Wukongs, your ones that look to keep getting fights kicked off, versus Nocturne, who's not a champion till 6, and yet down 40 CS. I mean, when you slam into a game 12 minutes in, you do have questions to be answered, and one of my questions is certainly, what on earth happened? You can be seen, guys, even though we're bush licking. Yeah, okay, there we go. SLM able to back on out of that.
Yeah, just getting pushed out by Trouble Bubble, and it is a little bit of a shame that we didn't get to see it earlier. I would have loved to see how it fanned out and how Powder Monkeys got away with Aurelion Soul Seraphine and still being only behind by 5k gold, but we do see the side of SlimOdds going towards that Baron, and this could be a little bit dangerous.
Another Death Rush and no blue ward available. Remember, they already used it, throwing out the quickness here, not able to connect that grand entrance, meaning Rakan ult down and alongside his Radiant Virtue.
General Decoy pulling the plug a little bit too early there. We do see the TP come through.
And on the other foot here, the Powder Monkeys are going to be the ones starting it off. TP on the side. Look out for the Pirate joining the party. In the middle of 5 people, Nocturne goes in. Big Gore Drinker. It's the Charm on the 3 as Jenny's able to pick up the first kill. It is Red Team demolishing them in this fight. The Pirate comes to collect every head at once and finishing off Ace plus Baron in one fell swoop.
Balerex said, screw this, I'm done chasing the bounties around the map. I'll just come over to all of them at once and pick them up. And you can just see how SlimOdds, they all group up together because of the paranoia. Doesn't want to leave anyone alone, but then Balerex just shows on up one-shots. Absolutely everybody. Pentakill gets stolen by Ginny, bad Cassiopeia. On the side of SlimOdds does means no pentakill for the pirate. He will have one more head he's gonna want to collect, and it is gonna be a soul point for the side of SlimOdds. An 8,000 gold lead Baron picked up, and it is, like you said earlier, yes, the scaling is good on side of Powder Monkeys, but still a Cassiopeia, a Jinx, this is gonna be a very, very difficult game for the side of Powder Monkeys.
Yeah, difficult, approaching impossible here. I will say that much early on. I know it's you're never supposed to set things in stone, so I will always give the 1%. But I'm looking at 12k in the difference, and Gangplank is probably 11 of those in terms of the difference here. If you just Observer, can you flip on over? I want to take a quick sneak peek. Yeah, 12k on the Gangplank. Yeah, there it is. That's for those of you Powder Monkey fans amongst us. Yeah, you can forget about this one unless you, I don't know, DDoS SpannerX. These team fights are not getting much better for quite a while.
Yeah, and it's just such a difficult thing to play against because, yes, you want to spread yourself because of the GP, because of the Cassiopeia, but you want to stay together because of the Nocturne, because of the paranoia, and they just can't seem to decide on the side of Powder Monkeys which one they exactly want to do. The TP was really good from Balerex in that last team fight to pull himself onto Serpent's Fang. He's in his inventory. Interestingly enough, opting in for the Swifties this time around, wants to be a speedy boy, wants to be collecting those heads as quickly as possible. And like you said, it is getting extremely difficult for the side of Powder Monkeys. Balerex picking up his 4th item. Even having that LDR means this Ornn is no longer the tanky boy that you're used to seeing up in the top side.
Ornn has one in some parts. He's got one and a nice pair of shoes on his feet. This isn't even a competition anymore as the paranoia flies out. They find their way onto the Poppy 2-man charm to find the peel on the back of it. As Pharaoh under fire, flashing away from the Super Mega Death Rocket. It is now Aurelion Soul. 3-man knockup is good from him. General Decoy eating the exhaust of his own. But there's nothing left in the tank. The beautiful combo of Asol is simply irrelevant as he gets 1/3 of a health bar off every member, and his team can do nothing more to follow up, meaning that we are careening towards the end of this game, unless there's some sort of magic left in that real special pair of shoes Fenris has on his feet.
There is no magic left for Powder Monkeys. There is nothing in the tank. Stu's trying to take out these Nexus towers. Shiny and Fenris are holding it together. The wave is gone, which means this game might not be over just yet. But like you said it yourself, just because the Nexus lives doesn't mean the game is still afoot. And that's what it seems to be for the side of Powder Monkeys. The gold lead is a ludicrous amount for the side of SlimOdds. It's gonna be a soul for them. Cloud Soul. You thought this Nocturne was already difficult enough to deal with. You're looking at a Cloud Soul onto a Nocturne. You look at a Cloud Soul onto a Rakan, onto a GP. This is, in my opinion, some of the best champions or the best Cloud Soul users in the game on the side of SlimOdds. I tend to sort of trash on Cloud Soul as being the least impactful, but this is definitely one team that wouldn't mind having that Swifty speed up on their side.
Oh, absolutely. It is General Decoy's favorite soul, honestly, on the Rakan. You press your R key, you get about a 9 kajillion MS at the press of a button, and you charm up the whole team. I will say, in terms of best overall, I gotta give the nod to Olaf. That champion presses
Yes,
R.
sir.
You can't slow him. You can't CC him. And he's all of a sudden driving an F1 car directly towards your backline. So that might honestly get my nod in terms of most ridiculous. But yeah, certainly some very strong champions. And 45 seconds left. You're hoping for a steal, maybe. Because you are damn sure not fighting this out if you're on the Powder Monkey side.
I mean, are you though? Because I feel like if Powder Monkeys get the steal, they're prolonging their own misery in a way. I feel like you might just, swiftly want to move on as fast as you
15
can.
call.
I mean, yeah,
Bubble
not
Bubble
necessarily.
laying a trap for himself as the paranoia comes flying in. He's able to eat to safety as the rocket gives him a tap on the way out. It might be a bit of a catch on to the pirate here who cleanses and flashes his way to safety, but the barrel to turn it around. Charm is beautiful onto the entire lined up team as they find another pair of big AoE ultimates, but there's nothing left to give. Fenris and Pharaoh fall at the hands of SLM. And with the head of the snake cut off, it is Trouble Bubble and Shiny once again wondering, where do we go from here? Nexus Tower number 1 under fire. Another big 3-man ultimate from this Aurelion Soul who's doing what he can, but as Jinx gets hyper, the shots pour in, the barrels fly out, and SLM in style close this one out 28 minutes in.
28 minutes is all it took for them to take this game, and a 17,000 gold lead. Banerax being an absolute powerhouse, an absolute unit in that game on the gangplank, and it's just such a good showing coming out from Banerax, coming out the entire squad of SlimOdds as well as Brady in that early game. I would love to see how the hell Nocturne ends up 3-0 against a Wukong in a matchup where, like you said it yourself, Nocturne known as a champion where he's tends to be only useful after level 6, and before then he's a bit mich. You can get some lucky ganks off, but outside of that it tends to be a little bit under the weather, but definitely a good showing from SlimOdds, and it'll be interesting to see what they can pull out in game number 2.
Yeah, it is incredibly bizarre that we join 10 minutes late. I'll give you that one. The first minute is you just standing watching your creeps get prepared and ready to go. So we'll say 10 minutes late. And it just felt like they never had a chance. There was one Herald fight, and the game just kind of turned to dust for the Powders.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's like I said, would have been great to see that early game. Unfortunately, I didn't really see any chance of Powder Monkeys to fight back, and it'll be interesting to see whether they still opt in for the I feel like Rod of Ages Asol isn't exactly gonna do enough damage heading into the mid game. You need to Yes, on a comp like this, you sort of do accept the fact that you are gonna be behind when you look in things like Aesol, when you look in things like the Seraphine, and it just doesn't end up working out for Powder Monkeys this time around, and we'll see if they have what it takes in our game number 2, whether we are gonna end our day in a 1-1 or whether it is gonna be a 2-0 knockout KO performance coming out from the side of SlimOdds. And before that happens, we will drop ourselves onto a little bit of a break while we get our players ready and while we get everything set on up. So don't go anywhere, guys. We're gonna be right back with this game number 2.
I lied awake for days, counting all the ways I died. Everything I couldn't save, buried down, still half alive. It's got me crawling in my skin, but no one's coming out to hold me close. Pouring out the gasoline, yeah, I've been making friends with all these ghosts, and I got nothing left to lose. Fight to the future. to hold you close. I'm pouring out the gasoline, so say hello to all my ghosts. I'm sick and distracted, but I'm back with a match, yeah, I'm a buzzkill with nothing to lose. I'm sinking my teeth in, and I won't let you go when I'm having fun till set fire to the fuse. Alone, I'm moving like a shadow. You're walking in my dead zone. Breathing slow. Ooh, love the hunt, love the high. Watching life fade from your eyes. Ooh, and this is not a warning. This is not a test. I'm tuning on you and I'm coming for the rest. And I'm about to ignite. Just try to play it cool. Echoes in my head.
And welcome back to the SLE for the third and final time today in our best of two situation. I'm still Sandbag, this is still Dessa, and we are still completely baffled as to what is going on our screens. Okay, brother, what are we expecting in this draft now that we actually get to see one of them, hopefully, on our screens? Just a second.
At least this time around we get to actually see the draft. We get to see the game from minute 0, and maybe we won't see a 3-0 Nocturne by 12 minutes. Who knows? But already seeing Wukong taken off the table did show up in that last game. Jarvan as well being taken away. A bunch of standard bans coming through from both teams. I don't see any particular target ban so far. Ezreal is the only one I would sort of imagine is a target ban, but that's about it. The first pick on this is going to be on the side of SlimOdds. I do expect it to be an AD carry, but might surprise us with something else as well. And maybe we'll see something interesting this draft. Who knows?
Who knows? It could be a little bit of anything. Maokai is a pretty
Never
stable
mind.
pick. Bit stable. I'm trying really hard not to use the word boring, but it is stable. I will tell you that much. It is stable, it is reliable, it is dependable, and the lovers in the bot lane feel exactly the same niche in terms of reliability. Point and click CC is no good against Featherstorm, and Rakan, despite not finding everything he was hoping for, got the job done in the game 1.
Definitely. So, in general, Decoy, not seeing too much out of him. Of course, we did only see the later parts of the game, but it's going to be a quick Zyrakan lock-in for the side of Powder Monkey. Zyrakan tends to be a duo we don't often when you pick Rakan, it tends to be paired with something else, and same along the other side. When you pick Zy, it tends to get paired with something else than the Rakan. This time around, the lovers will get to meet each other under Swain. Is going to be picked up for the side of SlimOdds. I'm assuming it's going to be down towards the bot lane, could still be flexed into the mid lane, of course. And so far, it's going to be at least a Silver Hover coming out from SlimOdds. They are going to lock that one on in, and that is going to be great synergy with the Swain ultimate. You can just pop the ultimate onto the Silver, pop the ultimate on the Swain, and just run them down. With that, realize that I assume the Swain is going to be building as well.
Yep, you've got 10 MS to work with. They've got 2,000 just running circles around you with that demon flare ready and willing. Unfortunately, as we're talking about all these creative picks on our first stream of the day, we're back to Maokai Sejuani, Dessa. I'm tired of it. I've seen so many of these champions. I've casted more games than I can count of these two facing off. If Maokai does in fact go jungle thanks to that Swain. And yeah, two meatballs punching each other over and over again. This is not what I was hoping for out of the new patch.
Yeah, an SLE staple, some might say, coming through for the side of Powder Monkeys up on into that jungle role, which I'm assuming the Sejuani is gonna go over to. Could of course flex it over towards that top lane, but I assume that's not gonna be the case this time around. We have seen it a couple of times. It is on the side of Powder Monkeys, so if it was on the side of SlimOdds, could potentially be. Powder Monkeys tend to like to run it towards that jungle, and clearly Dynarex's GP ended up being the issue last game, as we saw, as it does get taken away in this phase 2 of the draft.
Yeah, we're not going to be seeing the pirate again with his barrels in tow. I absolutely agree, by the way. I just want to mention Skarner is available here. Skarner could in fact be locked in by either of these teams at any given moment, and I would be more than willing to cheer that squad on. However, I expect to see a little bit more. I can't even get my sentence out. Reliability was going to be the last one of those. However, maybe not the squads that we were thinking about here. Well, we have a relative maybe they're playing with their hearts a little bit. The hovers will debate you. Ornn's gonna be locked in for this red side. We've got a couple more seconds to think it over. Asol being hovered. Thoughts, Dessa? Are you excited? Is this really doing it?
I've never been more excited in my life to see an Asol.
Silver.
Of course, I'm not excited. It's a Silver Asol Maokai team, man. Well, like, this is the slowest game we're gonna see. Just look in the Darius, be a man, just face up against the Ornn up in that top lane. Try to beat him up as much as you can. It is the set hover for the moment, which is a little bit more exciting, as we don't tend to see set. Jax though would be a great response into the Ornn with that counter strike, and there is the Darius. At least someone wants to be a little bit excited.
A little bit. Just a morsel of excitement here as the Darius is going to try and bully out Ornn as best as he can. But yeah, like you said, Silver Asol has got so much wave clear, and wants to do absolutely nothing for like 20 minutes until they start getting their items online. So I am wary that we are going to be finding ourselves podcasting for the third time in as many streams.
Yeah, I mean, I expect about the same thing as we do see no one locked in for the side of Padamak is interestingly. It's probably gonna be a little bit of technical difficulties. We are getting word now that it is an Azir lock-in for them in that mid lane, which means it is gonna complement the rest of the comp of Powder Monkeys. But we have an Sandbag, we have an Azir Asol matchup in the mid lane, a Sivir Zaya matchup in the bot lane. I think we're just gonna sit here 20 minutes and we're gonna start talking about like palm trees out in the middle of nowhere.
You're gonna go plant one out back. You can solo cast. There is no requirement for a play-by-play in a game with Sivir Aurelion Soul. I will tell you that much. So you can feel free to take this one. I'm gonna take lunch, and I will be back to you once we have 3 items and we're looking to actually fight.
Yeah, I doubt there's gonna be too much of that in the early game. This is gonna be a relatively slow game based on these comps. Now, the last time I said that it was gonna be a slow game, we ended up having, I think, like 3 solo kills in all respective lanes. So don't it's not set in stone necessarily. Don't put it too deep in. And obviously, with there being a Zaya Rakan, bot lane that is notorious for being one of, if not the strongest bot lane in these early levels, means that anything, especially level 1, can happen. Man, the amount of time I've gotten the cheese off being a Zaya main where you just start W on both champions level 1, you just jump in, get that quick ignite on up, and you just kill and smack people in that level 1. And even if you don't, you get their flash, and then you go in level 2, and bada bing, bada boom, you got yourself a first blood.
You're able to clean up the mess that you caused in that level 1, especially on a Sivir who's got pretty low base stats in the grand scheme. She's not able to really stand up to the early aggression. She wants the item, she wants the wave clear, she wants to buy Shiv for the 400th time in a row. Because Sivir needs more wave clear. I don't know what the itemization will be. I know we're being incredibly pessimistic, part of it from comedic effect, but part of it is going to be slower. I expect some action here. Like, there's no way we have Maokai Sejuani, 2 very prominent and proficient early gankers who have point-and-click CC on Maokai, who have AoE CC on Sedge. They have multiple forms of them. They got to be the ones to get things going because the laners will not likely provide it. So I will have to say, throwing this to you, where do we want these where do we want these junglers to focus if these bot laners are looking to scrap?
I would hope that they both focus on top lane. We talked about the mid lane matchup, we talked about the bot lane matchup. Aurelion, Asol, Azir, not interesting. Swain, Sivir versus Zaya Rakan can get a little bit spicy, but for the most part, Sivir is such a safe champion that I don't expect much to happen down there. Maybe post 6 once that quickness comes through for the Rakan, but outside of that, you can just spell shield the grand entrance and walk on away. But the top lane, this Darius being locked in means it is going to be what I assume to be a hyper aggressive top lane coming out from SlimOdds, and that is what you need if you're gonna lock in the Darius. If you're gonna lock in the Darius into a champion like the Ornn, you can't really afford to just sit there and chill in the laning phase. You gotta be able to push your lead. You gotta be able to sort of try to pressure the Ornn at least a little bit. And like you said it yourself, with there being a Maokai and a Sejuani on the Rift, that Twisted Advance can do wonders in these early ganks. Same with the Glacial Prism once those level 6s start coming in onto the Sejuani. And I would expect for both these junglers to focus on towards that top lane, try to maybe shut down the Darius for the side of Powder Monkeys, and for the side of SlimOdds, try to keep this Darius afloat, try to keep this Darius zooming, and if he can get a couple of early kills, he can be the unstoppable pain train that we are used to seeing in solo queue.
Once he can get his hands on these slippier members, that is the one issue with Darius. You have the ghost, you have the flash, you have the stride breaker, but you gotta get in there first. And unfortunately, mobile champions like Rakan and Sedge can step away from your effective range. Zaya's got the Featherstorm. Azir is not going to be on your screen if he has the option to. So yes, maybe he can look to stack. Maybe he can look to get himself a lead. But then again, he's going to be hitting tanks. He's not going to be able to get his damage off without some creativity, some flank, some angles, and play those ones. Because if you just walk in a straight line against the CC-ridden Powder Monkeys, I feel like you might be stopped in your tracks on the way.
Definitely so, and that's where the Sivir comes in. In the later phases of the game, the Sivir is going to be extremely influential when it does come to the later stages and the late game and the mid game when it comes to SlimOdds strategy into this game. Once you pop that Sivir ultimate, this Swain and Darius, even the Makai, is gonna become so much harder to handle, especially like you said. There is a lot of CC on the side of Powder Monkeys, but if you can reach that Zaya before she gets the Featherstorm off, or if you can burn the Featherstorm early on into that team fight and just have the Sway drain going on to that bird, then there isn't really much you can do on the side of Powder Monkeys. But there are some good tools against this Darius. Like you said, a buttload of CC, but I'm expecting Mercs to come through for Darius, and so far it's gonna be, I feel like, a pretty even game on our hands.
I can see it going either way, all things considered. Which is incredibly funny considering the game one that we had. SlimOdds absolutely dumpstering Powder Monkeys in this first one. But there is a world in which if you get behind and you don't have that kind of ideal Swain situation where you find yourself almost kind of boxed out, because this is a relatively short range comp for SlimOdds, right? You don't have crazy effective range. Sivir on the shorter end of marksman. Aurelion, Sol, Swain, stumpier in terms of their effective range compared to Azir, compared to Zaya, compared to these champions who can maybe space you a bit. So trying to get in might be challenging, and if you just don't have the stats to do it, I could see a situation where the Powder Monkeys take it, but my nod will likely be over to SlimOdds, able to translate this one in forwards.
Yeah, definitely so. And I mean, like you said, there is just so much pressure, I feel like, for SlimOdds to be ahead because Swain, when you're behind, we've all seen it. He kind of just runs in, presses R, and then your team just sits there like, okay, but now what? Like, you're not really doing much. Even if you have that Leandries and your team isn't necessarily ahead, it's gonna be a tough time for the side of SlimOdds to sort of get anything done. I pray to God that we see a Rod of Ages on, not only Rod of Ages, a Leandris on Jhin instead of the Rod of Ages. But now that we're finally onto the Rift, we will be able to see once he does finish up his first item which one it will be, and no funny business in this level 1.
Nope, no funny business whatsoever. Very grown-up 5-point starts. A couple of crabs flashed here and there, but it is a stare down of junglers. The tension, the blink. Who's gonna move first? Because this is a mental game now. Whoever moves first, you're losing this. Hold. Shiny. Brady. This is gonna be the most excitement that we get for the next 5 minutes. So relish it while you can, chat. This is what it's like when you have Zaya and Sivir and Aurelion Sol on the same rift. We just it's over. All right. Powder Monkeys, take the dub. Powder Monkeys are converting this one. You've heard it here first. Put all of your gambas on the Powder Monkeys.
Yeah, it's wraps for the side of SlimOdds. They might as well call it a 1-1 now because it's not even a dance battle. I'm used to seeing a dance battle, but this was just a straight up stare down.
Scary.
It's a will of might between the two junglers, and so far we are seeing two different strategies coming out. It's gonna be Shiny starting towards that top side, heading down bot, or a potential early gank in that top lane, although I doubt it. With Bannerex having Flash Ghost, he should be able to easily get his way out of any early ganks. Should be Brady pathing up towards that top lane, and it's gonna be interesting to see what ends up happening, but a grand entrance already onto Stooge isn't gonna mean much as Pharaoh is gonna lose a sizable chunk of his health bar.
Yep, losing the trade despite the spell connecting is a bit unfortunate for the Powder Monkeys bot lane. But one piece of analysis while we see the junglers on opposite side of the maps currently and waves being pushed left, right, and center. A piece of analysis that I didn't find an opening for in Champion Select, but I really want to mention it, is if we had, I wanted to get an Anivia for Ginny, because then we had every bird champion on the Rift at the same time. Swain, Sire, Rakan, Azir are almost all of the birds. We needed the Anivia to complete the full set, and that would have been more entertaining than whatever I'm looking at.
I didn't even catch on to that. I mean, would have it been more entertaining than the stare down we had in the mid lane? I feel like the stare down is gonna be the most interesting thing.
Good.
Yeah, it's definitely some excitement, and so far we are seeing what we sort of imagine a very chill early game coming through, and both of these crabs as well spawning for both these junglers at the opposite sides of the map means that there isn't even gonna be anyone tussling over early crabs, as we do see the bot lane push slowly on into the side of SlimOdds.
Yeah, so 10 more seconds until the crabs are going to make an appearance, and we have a bit of a collision course here as Shiny might get himself spotted out on the ward. We have the tree on one side, the boar on the other, and a pause in the bot lane as they're just continuing to jockey. And while we have a moment, Bear Chart 2506 isn't a dragon a bird. Pepper, ban him. Isn't a dragon a bird is gotta be a bannable take here. As we have the Ghost up in the top lane, Banner X and Fenris, that's 5 stacks of that Darius passive. The autos pour in, flash away, but he's yanked back in. You gotta hold your nerve. One more auto will do it, as Darius gives us some sort of life in this game, Tessa.
Boom, baby! We expected the action to be in the top lane, if anywhere, and Banner X already popping off on that Darius. We saw what he could do in that game number 1 when he got unleashed, and in this game number 2 already unleashed 4 minutes into this game, and having him pick up that early kill is very, very important, especially for champions like Darius, because if you get him a slight lead, he does tend to sort of run away with things. Interestingly enough, he has opted for the double Doran's items with the shield and the blade coming through. I am assuming it's just... Actually, if we can quickly look at the gold, I want to see if it was just efficient. Yeah, it's just efficient gold usage. Coming out of frame, had no gold for really anything, or had an awkward amount of gold, so to say. So he just opts in for the extra D blade instead, gives him those immediate stats coming through, as we do see a cheeky recall stop coming out of Laju on towards the bot lane.
Yep, able to get the cancel out on that one. And yeah, it's a situation where you're looking to just continue to push the pace. You want those base stats. You're not playing to late with Darius. You're not playing to, build things into items. It is greedy, but it can convert very nicely if he's able to find use out of those very strong passives, but they do not turn into anything later on. So you got to make the most of them now.
Definitely. So far we have seen Banner X use the most of this Darius picking himself up an early solo kill, which means any fights up towards that top side for the side of Powder Monkeys can get very scary extremely quickly. We do see them setting up for the dragon on the bot side for the moment. Should be able to pick this one up with relative ease, as Brady is over towards that top side. Chemtech Dragon, not the best dragon to start off with. Definitely there are better ones out there, but I feel like when it comes to the dragon stacking, definitely an effective way to get yourself a win con, as it's gonna be an Infernal Dragon followed up by after the Chemtech, and we do see Brady set up for a potential gank on the top lane.
Yeah, we might be in some danger. Remember, No Flash does have Call of the Forge God, but he's going to try and cancel out that E. Twisted advance forwards. Brady is able to set him up for the alley-oop. The Darius is able to start stacking this one up. R2 will not do it as Banner X teams up with his jungler to find his second of the game.
No solo bolo, ends up being a little bit of teamwork from the top jungle duo on the side of SlimOdds, and Fenris, with not having TP either, should be a plate or two picked up for the Darius here, which is just even more gold into his pocket. Yeah, 2 plates already down for him. Yeah, there you go, plus 175. Should be able to pick up this extra wave as well, and Shiny is finally down over towards this top side, but could be a little bit too late, too little too late, as he's going to be clearing his Krugs. Banner X going for a base here, which means that he's gonna be coming back to lane with a sizable item lead for himself.
Yeah, up 30 CS and 600 gold on top of it. I shudder to think, as an Ornn player, what this man's going to rock up to. Merc's on top of it. But he's got a little bit more in the tank, if I'm not mistaken, to continue purchasing. But he knows, yeah, there it is. He's a longsword and refillable on top of it. And bad goes to worse here for Fenris. You really can't hold this as a beautiful two-man pullback from Decoy. Sets up the boomerang on Stoosh.
General Decoy hitting a pretty sweet E there on both of the members on the side of Powder Monkeys. The main thing is the stacks that he ends up getting double of the stacks, gives him a little bit more max HP. On that Swain, it is a infinite stacking ability, so definitely good to get some of those stacks early on into the game. A couple of things over towards the spot lane, definitely Powder Monkeys looking for a play. Shiny is on a ward though, and the entire jungle, Botley River, sorry, is lit up by SlimOdds. Beautiful vision
Yeah,
control.
Shiny's in trouble here. Arctic Assault forwards, but it's into 4 members. The meat grinder begins to chew through. Astutia's able to find the flash away, keeping the fight ticking over, but it is blue side running amok as Lazju is forced to run away. Pharaoh under fire. Flashes, but does not save his life. Able to get something back with the blade collar is Pharaoh, but the 3-man squad's here to mop up. 3 for 1 in the extended play, and SLM continue to press forwards in that river fight.
And these are the types of fights where SlimOdds are just so damn good. Look how much work this Swain does. The vision is key here. They know where Shiny is throughout this entire play. General Decoy just pops on his ultimate and just starts the drain game. A beautiful stun coming through as well. Stoosh activates that ultimate of his, and then General Decoy just runs over the team. A good killback from Pharaoh with that blade collar means it is at least 1 kill back, but it is still 5 for the moment towards SlimOdds. And yes, 2 of those are on Bannerex, but 2 of those are also on General Decoy, and it looks like the lanes are just winning for SlimOdds, and if it keeps going like this, might be a swift 2-0.
Yeah, definitely not so bad as the game that we tuned into in the first one. Pharaoh, nice little sidestep away from a claw. That could have spelled a lot more than simply just a claw connecting, meaning a nice little piece of footwork down there. But yes, the gold lead is starting to build. It's starting to creep on up here, 2.5k up. We have a collision course in the bot lane as General Decoy under fire. Remember, no ult from the previous fight. He is dead as a doornail and shut down goes the way of Pharaoh.
Shiny is gonna be able to get himself some impact in this game, but the main thing is that Pharaoh is the one who picked up the kill. Like you said, shut down over to the Zaya, the AD carry of Powder Monkeys, and that's exactly who you want this gold onto. That is gonna be your main way to take out this Darius alongside Trouble Bubble when we head into the later stage, but in the mid game it's gonna be the Zaya. Azir, maybe once he gets 2 or 3 items, can do something, but you do see Chandler for a little bit of a sneaky in, wait for some vision.
Spell shield quickness thrown out on the Stoosh as answered in ultimates on this side. Able to fight for the Tri-Brush. Beautiful 2-man Bramble smashes this. Maokai looks to keep it going. POW Shiny under fire and pulled apart at the seams. The claw connecting means that even through the Feather Storm, she's pulled back in. Aurelion Soul here to bring the hammer down once more. The Emperor slides to safety in his jungle. But it was a 3-1 the first time, a 3-0 the second, and SlimOdds pick up everything in the kitchen sink.
Powder Monkeys just overstepping a little bit there. You can see they just had the cooldowns on the side of SlimOdds. So as soon as General Decoy pops his ultimate on in, it just starts the drain game again. And Shiny just is not tanky enough. Stoosh having the Kraken Slayer as well means he is doing quite a bit of damage. Even Ginny has prio in that mid lane, which means he's over here first, picks up a kill for himself. Even Bannerek showed up to the party. This Darius had enough of the Ornn matchup, wanted himself some action, but didn't end up picking himself up anything, unfortunately. But so far, good to see from SlimOdds this sort of all-around pressure that they're having.
Yep, and so far, every lane barring arguably this jungle so far with the gold leads, the assists making up the difference, but maybe Shiny's able to get something going. But everywhere else on the map, it is going to be SlimOdds winning out. So you gotta start overloading. You can't take fair fights, you can't take even numbers. Overload one side, try to cross map, try to get creative, or this snowball might start to get away from you because the makings of it are more than in the hands of SLM.
You just gotta work off these cooldowns if you are the side of Powder Monkey's General Decoy.
Under fire is Ferris. This is going to be a brutalization. The Ornn has been stacked. The Ornn has been slain as Banner X goes on a killing spree. 3-0 up and tower in his sights.
And slowly building towards that Triforce. Banner X again just popping off for the side of SlimOdds, and this is what you're talking about. If you can't win on the top side, try and make a play on the bot side. As Shiny is trying to put some pressure onto Stoosh, but Sivir, such a hard champion to kill, is gonna go over and lose his red buff for it. Shiny getting counter jungled by the top laner even is not an ideal situation for the Sejuani. An item lead pretty much all around for SlimOdds, and a 4,000 gold lead is a rough at this stage of the game.
Shiny and Ginny on a collision course, down 2 levels, but able to find a cancelization on the E with that Sejuani ultimate flashing forwards. The Azir shuffles, able to set them up. Empowered ultimate will root up with the assist of that knock up, but Brady under fire, trying to find himself a 2 versus 1. Banner X on route, pull in, chopped up. The shield may be in the difference, only 3 stacks. The ultimate is Banner X giving chase with that ghost, flashes to secure it. As he goes on a rampage, Stoosh picks up one of his own, and the game continues to spiral 11-3.
And Powder Monkeys aren't done yet.
Flash on Maokai. He's able to keep this going if he wants to, but doesn't. Turning this around with the quickness, maybe? Okay, thinking better of it, Rakan. Bravery was there. I'm not sure the decision-making was so good if he takes that in. And take another look at this one. Something back, some hope from Powder Monkeys, but cut swiftly short.
Definitely so, and just walking straight into the arms of Brady didn't account whatsoever for the rotation of Banner X. It is good decision for the Darius to make his way on over Flash Ghost to make sure they secure the kill onto this Azir, and this means that it is gonna be SlimOdds with a 5,000, almost a 6,000 gold lead in this early game. 15 minutes in, and bot lane tower secured for Pharaoh means that he's gonna find himself with a little bit more gold in his pocket as well. And Laju, I must say the quickness was a little bit over ambitious in that bot lane play. Was looking for something that didn't exactly exist, and so far it just these cooldowns, they gotta work on them on the side of Powder Monkeys.
Yeah, at the end of the day, quickness isn't a super long commitment here. It's not like Call of the Forge God. It's not like some of these big tools. This Ginny's just looking to keep pressing towards Trouble Bubble. It's not a super long commitment, so may as well take a look. Right now we have a collision course of junglers, level 9, but it's not a fair fight. Aurelian Soul is here, and he picks up himself a jungler. Speaking of not a fair fight, as you're more than happy to escape away from the waiting arms of the Darius, as Shelly under fire by SLE.
Good moves from Trouble to make himself on out, and this is why you built the Rod. This is why you built the Leandris instead of the Rod of Ages onto that Asol. Ginny has that in his inventory, which I am very glad to see. Already mentioned I didn't want to see the Rod of Ages once again, but General Decoy is gonna be looking for some bot laners. In the mid lane, Powder Monkeys is gonna make a run for the hills, and with this Ocean Dragon being up should be an easy secure for the side of SlimOdds, working their way slowly but surely over towards that Cloud Soul.
Absolutely, full 5-man stack, just looking to make this one a no-doubter. The smite is true, as Brady is able to pick up his second of the game. Halfway to that soul, so it will be on the slower side towards that half-hour mark if they look to pick it up on spawn every time. But I'm going to be honest with you, probably isn't the difference maker in this game. I don't think it's a requirement if the gold continues to flow the way it is.
Yeah, definitely not. And of course, champions like Darius do very much enjoy an Ocean Soul. Being in the middle of everybody is gonna mean that the extra regen, if they do get there, should come in very clutch. But so far, it has just been the sort of decision making. It has been the macro gameplay out of SlimOdds that just has been superior when it comes to being versus the Powder Monkeys. And Bannerex having that Triforce finished up means that he is pretty unstoppable in a side lane, even against champions like the Azir, even against people like Fenris. He's gonna be a force to be reckoned with, but a potential engage on the mid lane. Ooh.
Looking for something is Ornn, but spotted out once more. Every time you take a look at the minimap, it is blue dots just littering both sides of the river, both sides of the jungle. It feels like Powder Monkeys are never given a chance to begin a play because they're sniffed out before they even start.
Yeah, and it's just the vision game, right? It's been so good for the side of SlimOdds. Earlier, we saw Shiny being caught for that exact reason. And even if you look at the map now, you do see a couple of wards over towards the top side, a couple of wards over towards that bot side, which did end up expiring right now for the side of SlimOdds, which means the bot side jungle is going to be a little bit dark. But with this Baron coming up in a minute or so, and no objective on the bot side, it's going to be much more important to get this top side vision than bot side vision, but we do see a little scuffle for this red buff on the top side.
Considering Brady just right-clicked enemy red with absolutely zero fear, that'll tell you everything you need to know. Fenris trying to defend it as best as he can, but finds himself on the receiving end of a Darius ball on the bottom of your screen. The engage comes through. The Xayah is able to pick up one. Feather storming the ultimate. The Powder Monkeys find a moment, but Banner X is here to turn it around. The Q brings life to himself and death to Fenris, flashing underneath the structure. The Merc treads providing everything he needs. The Emperor's Divide completely locking Ginny from giving chase. But at the end of the day, it is still a 1 for 3 once more, despite just how good it looked initially.
It looked so good because of this bot side play. Double Grand Entrance, double Quickness, double Blade Caller, Pharaoh and Laju just doing so much work. But on the meanwhile, Bannerex is tearing through the rest of the Powder Monkeys. Picked himself up one, picks himself up two. It was very close to picking himself up a boar as well, but with the Glacial Prism coming through from Shiny, is going to be able to deny that kill. But look at this Maokai, 0-0-13. This is the most supportive Maokai I have ever seen.
That is the homie Maokai right there, making sure everyone on this team is eating good, setting everybody up and taking nothing for himself. That is the Maokai that we love to see if you're trying to make sure that Maokai doesn't necessarily need the gold, but he wants to be impactful. That scoreline, beautiful for supportive junglers everywhere.
Definitely so, and has the early game CC as well to make sure that happens. We saw him already, a couple of early ganks in that top lane meant that Fenris was just set so far behind. And speaking of this top lane, Fenris currently sitting on 0 items, and Sandbag, we saw this in game number 1 as well, did we not? It was like the Ornn on 1 item while the enemy top laner was on like 4 or something?
It was 4-1. Ornn was a Sunfire Cape and a Bramble Vest versus the 4-item Gangplank, and he had some tabbies to make the difference. It was pretty rough here, as the history seems to be repeating itself. In the words of Glunix, doesn't look too good. Monkey covering eyes. I could not agree more here with the state of the game.
Yeah, definitely. So it's maybe might not be a 4-item Gangplank this time around, but it is a 2-item Darius, which, depending on who you ask, some people might be even a little bit more scared of the 4-item GP, but it's gonna be Laju who's again just looking for a play. This Rakan has been looking for the angles all game, but it's gonna be Powder Monkey with a sneaky Baron here.
No, the desperation flip, and they're scouted out. 8k left, can they rush it down? They just don't have the time. Aurelion Soul stunning 3, setting him up for Stu. She's able to get stunned up by this jungler, finding the ultimate. but is a dead Ornn at the end of this. They whittle their way through Fenris. They look to pick up the Baron where it stood. Trouble Bubble gets chopped up, and it is Shiny Chase to Kingdom come by Aurelion Sol. Double kill over to the Swain. The Baron is smited down, and the last Desperation Hail Mary is intercepted by SLM, and everything comes apart.
The field goal is not going to be good as SlimOdds just sweep Powder Monkeys off the face of the earth, and it is gonna be Bannerex who is just dismantling this inhibitor down towards that bot lane. 4v5 by the way, just put it out there, that was a 4v5 for the side of SlimOdds. The strongest member, well, at least the second strongest member on the side of SlimOdds wasn't even there. Bannerex nowhere to be seen, and still SlimOdds was able to take the fight. But look at Ginny, 3 items on this Asol. No Archangels quite yet, but that Void Stuff, that Realize, that Leandris, he's gonna be a one painful dragon to deal with.
Absolutely, and I don't know what the answers are, unfortunately. It's Turtle, it's Farm, and it is Hope and Pray, unfortunately, for the Powder Monkeys. They found nothing but misfires every time they look for their plays, and as the Ghost is popped, I'm seeing the lifespan of the average Ram drop tremendously. Able to find a bit of peel with the ultimate, but nothing much will come of it. Ginny goes unstoppable. Bannerex goes absolutely wild, and this game just continues to crumble in front of our eyes.
Sky's Descent smacking the Forge God on the forehead, just slamming him down to the ground. Trouble Bubble might be able to pick himself up a little bit of bounty gold, but Sandbag at this point I feel like a bounty and a tier 2 tower is not gonna be enough to come back from a 13,000 gold deficit.
No, but at the same time, gold is gold. So if you're able to get anything back in your pockets, like I'm not even clowning, right? Getting gold into your pockets is what you gotta do, and you gotta find some way to do it. And underneath your structure might be the way. The Emperor playing Ring Around the Rosie with Bannerex, getting his flash in exchange for Banner's own as the W interrupting, but there's no sanctuary given. Ginny throwing out the black hole, clearing the wave as best he can, and this chicken is about to be fried.
Meat is on the menu, boys, as the KFC comes through for SlimOdds. No survival even under your own makeshift tower. For Trouble Bubble just gets ran down by SlimOdds. This time it is gonna be quantity over quality as the Avengers end up assembling over towards the top lane. Bannerex said, let me try this on my own. Said, I ain't got the strength for it. Calls down the boys, and the boys take care of the rats over towards SlimOdds base. Now Baron is gonna be up in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. That is the next big objective, but it's feels like SlimOdds might just be able to end the game sooner than that with how this has been going so far. They need to get a big play, they need to get something out of this game.
Yeah, I'm appreciating the sheer volume of movie references we got in that short period of time. The meat back on the menu with the Avengers assembling. I'm really doing overtime on that front. And Bannerex, he's got the 007 music playing if we're keeping the movie references going. This man is lurking. What he's lurking for, I'm not 100% sure, but they do find Shiny. The unfortunate timing and the slow of the flail will keep this Boar Rider standing. But there's no way you're contesting him out on that side. 3 items completed.
He's lurking for some boar. They tried some KFC, wanted the chicken, said we want different meat on the menu tonight, want some boar meat for himself, but the siege comes on through.
W forwards is a possibility. His Brady might be looking something. Maybe the Emperor's Divide can kick it off, but it's a 3-man pop-up. Ginny makes it swift as Trouble Bubble is cut to pieces. The dragon gets the pentakill off the back of his own ultimate. Fine, I'll do it myself, he says, as SlimOdds pick up an emphatic 2-0.
And this is just SlimOdds saying, look, you can take the ace on game one. Sure, why not? But we'll take it game two. We'll show you how it's played, and we'll just smack you upside the head with it. Genie, a pentakill, clutching into that game, putting the rest of the SlimOdds onto his back. The backpack must be pretty big to fit that many beefy boys inside of it.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Powder Monkeys, this is normally where we do the debrief. This is where we go, hey, what are the alterations to be made? How do we amend this moving forwards? Uh, Mr. Analyst, what on earth do we amend to move forwards into this one, as it felt like from the word go that we didn't even catch it was all SlimOdds all the time.
I gotta admit, I feel like there was no, to me, no, there was no concise gameplay when it came to that game two. Obviously, it is gonna be a little bit more hard to analyze that game number one, considering we did miss the first 12 minutes of it or so, and did have a 3-0 Nocturne and a 0-3 Wukong by the time we caught up. And at that point, it was kind of just sort of obvious why game one went to SlimOdds. But in the game number two, Shiny, my friend, this Sejuani just didn't really get any value, in my opinion, in that early game. There's two ways you can go about this. When there's a Darius on the map, you either gotta focus up the Darius lane and try to shut him down, or you get your other side so far ahead that the Darius will just get melted by the AD carry. And this time around, Pharaoh, I gotta admit, played a pretty decent game himself, got some clutch blade callers in, but just didn't end up doing enough. And I feel like there was no teamwork on the side of Powder Monkeys, and SlimOdds were just firing on all cylinders and had the name of the Powder Monkeys written in their death note.
Yep, they just had their number, unfortunately, time and time again, things favoring them. So you don't want to take anything away. SlimOdds were able to put on performance. Top lane twice was able to get the abusement of the tank matchup, of the Gangplank, of the Darius. You're playing a weak lane, so you don't really have that many options on the other side, but was trying to blind, trying to hold, unsuccessful, and just run over twice. And that's just about gonna do it for the series. Tess, any final parting shots before we close on out for the second time today?
Honestly, you know what, Sandbag? I'm just glad that we got to see some good fashion League of Legends. I gotta admit, for a little bit, I was a little bit worried that we weren't gonna get to have a good night for ourselves and enjoy some good old-fashioned 5v5s, but we got ourselves a matchup at the end of the day. SlimOdds are gonna be taking the 2-0 against Powder Monkeys, and this means that Ginny, with that pentakill, is going to be the player to look for. And I believe, if I'm not completely mistaken, is going to be the man to collect the third pentakill of this regular season. And it's going to be interesting to see who in SLE is going to collect number 4.
Who's able to pick those ones up, adding a big old notch to his belt on that one. But we're just going to have to leave it at 2-0. There's not going to be any further news from us. You have seen plenty of us, plenty of our voices. We're going to send you on out. But before we do, one small update. The real life issues in that first series have been sorted, and he is not seriously harmed. So for those of you wondering, I said keep them in your thoughts. I want to round that one off and tie that one off. He is not seriously hurt. So we are getting ourselves a bit of League of Legos by the end of it, just like you said. But B, the real life is still out there and is still going well. So wanted to tie that one off. But that is going to do it for us in this series. I have been Sandbag. This has been Dessa. Pepper holding it down behind the scenes despite the chaos. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care, guys.